The day I stopped believing in love started like any other. The routine dragged on, and once again I found myself surrounded by love stories that felt distant and unattainable. The truth is, I always believed that true love existed, that it could be the answer to so many questions. However, over the years I witnessed disappointments and unfulfilled promises, relationships that began intensely and ended in silence. The first time I felt this disbelief was after a painful breakup. The words spoken and unspoken echoed in my mind, creating a maze of doubts. What should have been a moment of growth turned into a burden that I carried for a long time. The memories of what could have been became a shadow, obscuring any light that love could offer. Each new attempt to open up to someone felt like a new failure waiting to happen. Over time, I realized that this feeling wasn't unique. Talking with friends, I discovered that many share this disillusionment. The stories intertwined, broken promises, relationships that started with so much hope and ended in frustration. Love, which should have been a source of joy, became a burden. What impacted me the most was the realization that there was a pattern, an iceberg of disbelief forming beneath the surface of relationships. People spoke about their experiences, and I began to see how emotional wounds shape our view of love. Every disappointment left a scar. Each farewell created an empty space. Those who had once been in love seemed to hide a skepticism that grew with every new relationship. It was as if love had become an illusion, a beautiful concept that couldn't withstand the reality of lived experiences. From that point on, I began to wonder, does true love really exist, or is it just a construct we create to cope with loneliness? This reflection led me to question everything I had learned about relationships and the true essence of love. The idea that love is always beautiful and perfect clashed with my own experiences and those of so many others. The climax of this internal journey occurred when I realized that this disbelief wasn't a sign of weakness, but rather a reflection of vulnerability. To love means to expose oneself, and this exposure can bring not just joy but also pain. This pain, which I had previously seen as a burden, began to be viewed as an essential part of being human. By losing my belief in love, I gained a new perspective on the fragility of relationships and the beauty that can exist even in the most difficult experiences. In concluding this reflection, I understood that disbelief in love does not imply the absence of feeling, but rather an invitation to resilience. Love may not be what we idealize, but that doesn't mean it's not worth seeking again. Instead of succumbing to cynicism, I chose to embrace vulnerability and uncertainty. Love can be complex, but above all, it is a journey of self-discovery and connection. And who knows, one day I might rediscover that belief I so longed for. The journey of rediscovery began when I realized there was a cycle in my romantic experiences. With every new attempt, I felt as if I were repeating past mistakes. The fear of suffering again was constant, and this concern prevented me from opening up to new possibilities. However, the change was subtle and gradual, starting with small actions towards myself. To begin with, I decided to focus on my own well-being. I came to understand that love shouldn't be the sole source of happiness. I started to invest time in hobbies that brought me joy, such as reading, practicing sports, and meditating. These moments of self-care helped me regain my self-esteem and mental clarity, allowing me to see myself as a more whole person and less dependent on external validation. During this period of self-exploration, I realized that I had a distorted view of love. The idea that it was the answer to all of life's problems seemed simplistic to me. I understood that love is just one aspect of the human experience, much like friendship, family, and self-confidence. This new perspective helped relieve some of the pressure I placed on relationships, allowing me to see them as parts of a rich and diverse life. With this new mindset, I began to go out more, socialize, and open myself up to new people. I attended events, met groups of people with similar interests, and allowed myself to experience new things. The simple act of meeting people, not with the expectation of romance but with the intention of sharing moments, became liberating. I learned that human connection goes beyond romantic love and that each interaction has its value. One of the most significant experiences was the friendship I developed with someone who was going through a similar moment. We shared our stories, our fears, and our insecurities. This open and honest dialogue made me realize that I was not alone in my disillusionment. He also had his scars and doubts, and together we were able to question the way we viewed love and the expectations we had regarding it. We often meet, not just to discuss relationships, but also to explore life in a broader sense. Conversations about careers, dreams, and even travel have become part of our everyday routine. This new friendship introduced me to a form of love that wasn't tied to a romantic relationship, but was equally deep and meaningful. Time passed, and gradually, my resistance to love began to fade. A new romantic opportunity arose when I met someone at a social event. I recalled all the lessons I had learned over the years, and instead of letting fear take over, I embraced the uncertainty. The invitation to go out was not seen as pressure, but as a chance to explore something new, without unrealistic expectations. The first date was simple. We talked about our interests, our experiences, and what we hoped for in life. This genuine exchange made me feel a connection, but not the idealization I used to experience. It was a relationship based on authenticity, and that gave me a sense of freedom. I was able to be myself, without the weight of expectations. With each meeting, this person showed me that love doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable. The conversations weren't always deep, and there were moments of discomfort, but that was part of the process. I learned that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. By opening up, I was allowing the other person to see not only my qualities, but also my insecurities. This exchange became a safe space where we could both be real. Over time, I realized that love is a daily construction. It's not something that comes ready-made. Rather, it's a continuous effort that requires dedication and hard work. The relationship that was forming wasn't an answer to all my questions. Instead, it was a space where we could grow together, learning from one another. This helped me understand that love isn't just about finding the right person, but about being willing to build something meaningful. With this new approach, my belief in love began to resurface. I realized that true love isn't free from pain or challenges, but it's a space where we can learn to love more fully, even in difficult times. The vulnerability that once paralyzed me became an invitation to intimacy and growth. Reflecting on this journey, I see that disbelief in love doesn't have to be the end of the line. It can, in fact, be the first step toward a deeper understanding of what it means to love. Love isn't the absence of pain, but the ability to find beauty and meaning amid imperfections. This transformation, in my perspective, was liberating. Love became an opportunity for connection, growth, and, above all, acceptance. So, I move forward, always open to what may come. I believe that love, in its many forms, is an essential part of the human experience. And perhaps by continuing this journey, I can rediscover the faith I once lost, not as an ideal, but as a reality filled with nuances and possibilities. The experience of rediscovering love hasn't been a straight line. Rather, it's been a process full of ups and downs. Each encounter, each conversation brought with it new lessons. I believe the key to this new phase was my willingness to allow myself to be vulnerable, not just with others, but with myself. By confronting my insecurities, I realized that they don't define who I am, but are part of what makes me human. Vulnerability, which used to scare me, has come to be seen as an opportunity for connection. Every time I opened up about my fears and uncertainties, I felt lighter. This lightness reflected in my interactions. When I met someone new, instead of hiding my insecurities, I chose to share them. This honesty created a space where the other person also felt comfortable to open up. This exchange of vulnerabilities not only strengthened our bonds, but also helped to demystify the idea that love must be perfect. Over time, I realized that love is not a simple formula. It's a collection of shared experiences, moments that can be both joyful and challenging. Each person brings something unique to the relationship, and that's what makes it meaningful. This understanding helped me relax my expectations. It didn't have to be perfect, and it was okay if things didn't go as I had planned. Socializing became an essential part of my journey. By allowing myself to meet different people, I learned to value the diversity in relationships. Each friendship I formed during this time brought me new insights. The conversations varied from trivial topics to deep reflections on life and love. This broadened my perspective and made me realize that everyone has their own journey, their own battles. By listening to others' stories, I not only identified with them, but also found inspiration. One of the most impactful friendships I made was with someone who was just starting their journey of self-discovery, just like me. Our connection was immediate. We discussed what it meant to love, what we expected from relationships, and how we felt about love. These conversations were like a mirror. I saw my own insecurities reflected in her words, and it helped me understand that I wasn't alone in this journey. As this friendship developed, we were able to support each other. It was a safe space where we could explore our hopes and fears. This relationship wasn't romantic, but it had a depth that made me realize love can manifest in various ways. The support and understanding we found in each other were crucial for our journey. This experience made me realize that love doesn't have to be confined to romance. It can be found in sincere friendships, in mutual support, and in empathy. Over time, this new perspective on love began to spill over into other areas of my life. The way I viewed my family relationships also changed. I began to value the time spent with my family more. Our conversations became more meaningful, and I realized that familial love is a solid foundation that can support our lives. These bonds aren't perfect, but they are real and often provide the necessary support during difficult times. The practice of gratitude became a habit. I started to cherish the little things: a smile, a hug, a light conversation. This shift in focus helped me appreciate moments that I had previously overlooked. Gratitude opened up space for a more positive outlook on life and relationships. This doesn't mean that difficulties vanished, but I learned to navigate them with more ease. With each new experience, the resistance I felt toward love began to lessen. I remember a meeting where the conversation flowed naturally. There was no rush, no unrealistic expectations, just two human beings sharing their stories. This authenticity made me realize that love can be simple yet profound at the same time. It is in that simplicity that its beauty lies. What I learned in this process is that love requires patience and dedication. It's not something that can be achieved overnight. It's a continuous effort that requires commitment from both parties. Every day is a new opportunity to nurture that connection. Love isn't just about the good times. It's also about how we deal with the challenges that arise. Each obstacle overcome becomes part of the story we are writing together. After all, love is an invitation to grow. By allowing ourselves to love and be loved, we are opening the doors to continuous learning. This journey of rediscovery has taught me that love is not a solution to all problems, but rather an intrinsic part of the human experience. It is a journey that involves mistakes, successes, vulnerabilities, and above all, the courage to expose oneself. Ultimately, as I reflect on this journey, I realize that true love is not a destination, but a journey worth experiencing, with all its nuances and complexities. Love is a construction that strengthens over time, and I am open to continuing this quest, learning and growing with each step. I believe that by keeping an open mind and a willing heart, the rediscovery of love is not only possible, but inevitable. The journey of rediscovering love is not linear. It is filled with ups and downs. Sometimes moments of insecurity arise that make me question whether I am ready to open up again. It's a familiar feeling, but now I know it's part of the process. Each time I face these fears, I try to remember the lessons I've learned along my journey. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but rather a necessary step toward building deeper relationships. One thing that has become clear to me is the importance of communication. In my previous relationships, I often failed to express my feelings and needs. This led to misunderstandings and resentments. Now I am seeking to be clearer and more honest about how I feel, both in moments of joy and in times of difficulty. This openness allows the other person to understand where I am emotionally and how they can support me. Recently, I met someone who was also going through a process of rediscovery. The connection between us was instant. We talked about our fears and insecurities, and it was surprising to see how similar our experiences were. This exchange of stories not only strengthened our friendship, but also gave us the courage to explore the possibility of something more. We decided to take a step forward and venture into dating. The expectation was different this time. There wasn't the pressure of finding the love of my life, but rather the curiosity of getting to know someone new. This lightness allowed the date to be genuine. We talked about our interests, dreams, and even the frustrations we had experienced in past relationships. This honesty created a safe environment where we both felt comfortable being ourselves. What surprised me the most was how easily our conversations flowed. There was no need to force topics or wear masks. The simple act of sharing our stories became a point of connection. This experience made me realize that love can flourish in a space where authenticity is valued. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be real. As we met more frequently, I noticed that I was allowing myself to feel again. The little things, like a smile or a touch on the hand, began to hold special meaning. Her presence brought me a sense of peace and comfort. This was something I hadn't experienced in a long time. Love started to shift from being a distant concept to becoming a tangible experience. One of the most important aspects of this new relationship was the ability to support each other. In moments of insecurity, we exchanged words of encouragement and understanding. This made me realize that love is not just about the happy moments, but also about being present during the tough times. It's a partnership that involves mutual growth and an understanding of each other's vulnerabilities. Over time, I noticed that this new approach was reflecting in other areas of my life. The support I gave and received began to extend to my friends and family. I became more present in my interactions, actively listening and sharing my own vulnerabilities. This not only strengthened my bonds with them, but also gave me a deeper sense of belonging. Conversations with friends became more meaningful. By openly sharing my experiences and insecurities, I realized that many of them were facing similar challenges. This exchange of stories and feelings created a space of empathy and connection. I learned that by opening up, I am not just exposing myself, but also inviting others to do the same. Love, after all, is not limited to a romantic relationship. It manifests in friendships, family, and everyday interactions. Each connection we develop carries the potential for growth and understanding, and even when things get tough, knowing we have support makes us feel more secure. With this new perspective, I decided not to strive to find love, but rather to cultivate meaningful relationships. The focus now is on building connections, not seeking external validation. This shift in mindset has allowed me to live more fully, enjoying each moment alongside the people around me. The search for love has become a process of continuous self-discovery. Each interaction, each friendship, brings new lessons and opportunities for growth. What was once seen as pressure is now viewed as an opportunity to learn more about myself and others. Thus, my belief in love began to be restored, not as an idealization, but as a reality that reveals itself in the little things of everyday life. The journey is not without its challenges, but now I understand that each challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. I have decided that regardless of what the future holds, I am open to new experiences. Love can be complex, but it's that very complexity that makes it so rich and rewarding. As I move forward, I carry with me the lessons learned, knowing that each step taken is a contribution to building something meaningful. Love, after all, is not a destination, but a continuous journey of self-discovery and connection. The journey of rediscovering love is an experience that continues to unfold. Each day, I realize that it's an ongoing effort that requires attention and dedication. This doesn't mean I don't face difficulties. On the contrary, challenges are part of the process and are inevitable. The difference now is that I face them with a more open mindset, free from the weight of disillusionment that I carried for so long. Recently, as I engaged with new people, I noticed that the expectation of a romantic relationship was no longer the sole motivation. Each interaction became a learning opportunity. I was more present, focused on understanding what the other person had to offer, and this brought a new dimension to my relationships. This shift in mindset allowed me to connect with people in ways I never imagined possible. One of the friendships I developed was with a coworker who shares similar interests. We began to meet outside of the professional environment, and these interactions turned into deep conversations about our lives. Talking about our aspirations and fears provided us with a space of comfort and understanding. This friendship reminded me that human connections go beyond romantic love, and that empathy and mutual support are equally valuable. Additionally, I started to appreciate the moments I spent with my family more. The time that once seemed scarce has transformed into an opportunity to strengthen bonds. Conversations that were once superficial became meaningful. I discovered life stories and experiences I didn't know, which helped me better understand family dynamics. Family love, even with its imperfections, is a solid foundation that sustains our emotional lives. The practice of gratitude has become a daily habit. I set aside time to reflect on the little things that bring happiness: a smile from a friend, a sincere hug, or a light-hearted conversation with a relative. This shift in focus has helped me appreciate moments that previously went unnoticed. Gratitude has given me a new perspective, allowing me to see the beauty in the simplicity of human interactions. These transformations didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual process filled with trial and error. At times, I reverted to old patterns of behavior I was trying to leave behind. There were moments when I felt anxious about opening up to new people, but I learned to be gentle with myself. Understanding that vulnerability is an essential step for growth was an important revelation. The relationship I developed with the new person I met after a few encounters began to become more consistent. Instead of letting the pressure to find the ideal love overwhelm me, I allowed myself to simply enjoy the moment. This approach brought me a sense of freedom. What was once an emotional burden became an opportunity to explore connection in a light-hearted way. As the relationship evolved, I realized I was more willing to face difficult conversations. Honesty about our feelings, insecurities, and expectations has become a fundamental pillar. This open communication has not only strengthened our bond, but also allowed us to create a safe space for vulnerability. Love began to manifest as mutual support and understanding, rather than romantic ideals. Additionally, I've realized that love isn't limited to deep feelings. It can reveal itself through simple gestures, like an act of kindness or a caring touch in everyday life. These small actions have become the foundation of our relationship, showing that true love is built on the little things, in shared routines and daily experiences. Authenticity has become a priority for me. By opening up about my insecurities, I found that I was creating a space where the other person also felt comfortable to expose themselves. This exchange of vulnerabilities not only strengthened our ties but also demystified the notion that love has to be perfect. The freedom to be imperfect brought a lightness I hadn't known before. Over time, our connection deepened. Conversations about the future, dreams, and hopes began to emerge. What was once merely a superficial exchange transformed into a meaningful dialogue. The expectations that once surrounded me were replaced by a genuine curiosity about what the future might hold. With each meeting, I realized that love was not just an answer to my questions, but an invitation to experience life in its entirety. Every moment became an opportunity for growth. The relationship didn't need to have all the answers, and that was freeing. Love began to be seen as a space for continuous learning, where I could explore not only the relationship, but also myself. Another important lesson I learned was the significance of time. There's no rush in defining what we're experiencing. Each phase has its value and its beauty. This understanding breathed new life into the relationship. The expectation that everything should happen quickly was replaced by an appreciation of the process. Enjoying the present moment became a priority. Vulnerability, which once made me feel insecure, was now seen as a strength. By opening up, I allowed the other person to see not only my strengths but also my weaknesses. This exchange turned into a safe space where both of us could be authentic. Authenticity became a shared value, creating a solid foundation for what is to come. Additionally, the practice of taking care of myself continued to be a priority. Investing in activities that bring me joy, such as reading, meditation, and sports, helped me maintain emotional balance. This dedication to my well-being allowed me to offer the best of myself in my relationships, without depending on the other person for my happiness. The journey of rediscovering love is an ongoing process of learning and growth. Each experience, each interaction brings new lessons. I believe that the key to this new phase is the willingness to be vulnerable and the ability to open up to what life has to offer. Love is a fundamental aspect of the human experience, and every step taken toward it contributes to building something meaningful. In conclusion, I realize that believing in love doesn't need to be idealized, but rather understood as an intrinsic part of life. I am open to exploring new experiences, learning and growing with each step. Love is a journey worth living, with all its nuances and complexities. And so I move forward, always ready to rediscover what love has to offer. The journey toward a new understanding of love isn't just about seeking romantic relationships. It's also an exploration of the self and the dynamics that shape our interactions. As I continue to open myself up to new experiences, it became clear that honest communication is essential. Speaking openly about how I feel, my expectations, and my fears has become a fundamental pillar in my relationships. This honesty isn't limited to romantic love, but extends to all of my interactions. In conversations with friends and family, I realized that many were also struggling with their own insecurities and uncertainties. By sharing my experiences, I created a space where they felt comfortable opening up as well. This exchange of vulnerabilities has strengthened our connections and brought us closer in a way I hadn't experienced before. The importance of cultivating genuine friendships has become evident. These relationships don't have to be based on romantic interests to be valuable. Friendship, at its core, is a form of love that offers us support, understanding, and a safe space to be who we are. By dedicating time to these connections, I've realized that love can manifest in various ways, and each of them brings its own kind of happiness. The practice of being present has also proven to be crucial. Instead of getting lost in my own worries or expectations, I learned to appreciate the moment. This meant listening attentively when someone was speaking, showing genuine interest in their stories and experiences, and being willing to share moments of joy and sadness. This authentic presence in daily interactions has become a source of fulfillment. Focusing on shared experiences rather than specific outcomes has brought a new lightness to my life. When going out with friends or meeting new people, the expectation that something should happen has faded away. The simple act of sharing a meal, laughing, or discussing a book has become an opportunity for genuine connection. This shift in mindset has allowed me to relax and enjoy each moment without the pressure of seeking a romance. Additionally, reflecting on what it means to love has become a part of my daily life. I've asked myself, what do I truly value in a relationship? This introspection led me to understand that love is not just about emotion, but also about respect, trust, and mutual support. Building a healthy relationship requires effort from both parties, and this awareness has helped me become a better partner and a more present friend. Vulnerability has also taught me to be more compassionate. By acknowledging my own weaknesses, I've been able to see the fragilities of others with greater empathy. This expanded perspective has allowed me to offer support more effectively, whether that means listening to a friend going through a tough time or celebrating the achievements of someone close to me. Understanding that we all face our own battles has become a meaningful connection. An important aspect of this journey has been learning to deal with the challenges that inevitably arise. In relationships, it's normal to encounter disagreements and misunderstandings. Rather than seeing these situations as failures, I've come to view them as opportunities for us to grow together. Open and honest communication has become a valuable tool for resolving conflicts and strengthening our bonds. With this new perspective, the idea that love should be perfect has been replaced by the understanding that it's natural to have ups and downs. Imperfections are part of the process and contribute to the growth of a relationship. This mindset has allowed me to approach challenges with more patience and understanding rather than frustration. The practice of gratitude, which has become a habit in my life, has also had a significant impact. I've taken time to acknowledge the small joys and acts of kindness in everyday life. This not only brought me more happiness, but also helped me appreciate the people around me. Gratitude has become a way to nurture connections, reinforcing the importance of love in all its forms. Moreover, the pursuit of self-discovery has intensified. By dedicating time to understand my own emotions, fears, and desires, I realized that this not only improved my relationship with myself, but also had a positive effect on my interactions. When I feel secure in my own skin, I'm able to offer more to others. Over time, this journey of rediscovery began to include the possibility of a new romantic relationship. When I met someone who seemed to understand this new phase of my life, I felt an immediate connection. What once was an emotional battleground has now transformed into a space to explore authenticity and vulnerability in a healthy way. Our dates were marked by sincere conversations and moments of genuine laughter. This reminded me that love doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple and deep at the same time. This new approach allowed me to relax and enjoy the process without the pressures of the past. As our relationship evolved, I realized that love is a continuous building process. It's not about finding the perfect person, but about being willing to build something meaningful together. Every interaction, every conversation became an opportunity to strengthen that bond. Additionally, I started to recognize that love is not a final destination, but a constantly evolving journey. What once seemed like a goal to achieve is now viewed as an enriching process involving mutual growth. This new perspective has allowed me to appreciate the nuances of relationships, understanding that every step taken is valuable. Love, at its core, is about connection and growth. It's an invitation to explore not only the other person, but also oneself. This journey of rediscovering love has taught me that it's not just about finding someone, but being open to all the forms of love that life has to offer. Thus, I move forward, willing to continue this quest. With each experience, I learn more about myself and others. Love, in its various manifestations, is a fundamental part of life, and I am grateful for the opportunity to rediscover it in its fullness. As this new phase unfolded, I realized that self-confidence was a key factor in my journey. Confidence not only allowed me to open myself up to new connections, but also helped me assert what I truly wanted in a relationship. Feeling secure in who I am, I was able to express my needs and boundaries clearly. This was vital for building a healthy and balanced relationship. Over time, communication became the foundation of my new approach. Conversations about expectations, fears, and desires were no longer seen as a burden but as opportunities to deepen our connection. This honesty was met with reciprocity, and trust grew between us. By openly discussing our feelings, we created a safe space where we could explore our vulnerability. In this construction of a healthy relationship, I learned that empathy is essential. By practicing active listening, I realized that what the other person feels is just as important as what I feel. This exchange of feelings and experiences not only strengthened our bond, but also brought a new dimension to our interactions. When one of us faced difficult moments, mutual understanding became a valuable resource. Moreover, the little actions grew increasingly significant. Simple gestures, like sending a supportive message or sharing a song that reminded us of a special moment, contributed to the building of our relationship. These small demonstrations of affection were essential in creating an environment of love and understanding. What I used to see as pressure to meet expectations turned into an opportunity to celebrate authenticity. Spontaneity became an important part of our interaction. We decided to explore new places together, try different activities, and even attend events that interested us, but that we had never had the chance to do before. This willingness to step out of our comfort zones strengthened our connection. With every step of this journey, I realized that love can be a source of personal growth. By opening up to each other, I also made space for self-discovery. The conversations we had were not just about us, but also reflections on what we had learned throughout our lives. This exchange of experiences became enriching and helped us shape a clearer vision of what we truly wanted. The relationship became a reflection of what we valued: mutual respect, friendship, and the willingness to face challenges together. Every difficulty that arose was treated as a learning opportunity. Instead of viewing obstacles as barriers, we started to see them as a natural part of growth. This shift in mindset led us to be more patient with each other and allowed us to handle difficult situations in a more mature way. One of the most memorable moments of this new phase was when we decided to have a conversation about the future. Instead of fearing what could happen, we approached the topic with curiosity and openness. We discussed our goals, dreams, and how we could support each other in achieving them. This conversation not only strengthened our connection, but also established a commitment to work together toward what each of us desired. The trust we built allowed us to explore intimacy on a deeper level. What was once a source of anxiety had now become an area of discovery. Vulnerability became a bridge, not a hurdle. This new approach to love brought a sense of freedom I had never experienced before. As our relationship solidified, I also recognized the importance of celebrating the small victories. Every moment of joy, every achievement, no matter how small, became an opportunity to reinforce our bonds. The simple act of acknowledging what was working well in our relationship contributed to building a solid foundation. The practice of gratitude continued to be an essential element. Taking time to recognize what we appreciate in each other brought a new perspective to the relationship. Thanking each other for the little things became a habit. This not only boosted our morale, but also reinforced the idea that each of us is an important pillar in the other's life. The journey of rediscovering love is not a linear path. There will be ups and downs, challenges and moments of doubt. However, the resilience we built together has prepared us to face any storm that may come our way. As we look to the future, we focus not on the fear of what might happen, but on the excitement of what is yet to come. What was once an unrelenting search for an idealized love has now transformed into an appreciation for the reality of love in its most authentic form. The beauty now lies in the imperfections, the flaws, and the uncertainties. Every day is a new opportunity to discover what love means to us in a unique and personal way. As we move forward, I am aware that love is a continuous journey, full of lessons and growth. I am open to all the experiences life has to offer, knowing that every step taken contributes to building something significant and lasting. And so I move forward with an open heart, ready to rediscover love in all its nuances. Before you leave, do two things right now. Take a deep breath and hold on to what touched your heart today. And, if it makes sense, share this story with someone who also needs to hear it.